of the most admirable chasers you could possibly wish to see.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Racehour podcast, brought to you with our friends at Gambling.com. It's time, of course, for a Christmas special. So much racing coming up over the next week and a bit, and we're really looking forward to it here on the Racehour. I've got Diarmuid Nolan with me, of course. Diarmuid, how are you?
All good, Dino. How are you, buddy?
Very well, very well. Looking forward to Christmas racing. All set for Santa, eh?
Yeah. First time Santa's here in the house now with Luna. So but look, she's 8 months old, so I'd say we'll just be wrapping up a few boxes and stuff that there's no point going too mad this year.
Don't buy any expensive presents, not where.
No.
You'll get away with the Christmas wrapping in the boxes and just point them at the tree.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, well, you've got that to look forward to. I wish you well. Delighted to stay down with Racehour for the first time, and it's been a little bit of time in the making. Tanya Stevenson has joined us, a legend of betting, racing, and broadcasting. Tanya, how are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. Yeah, looking forward to what we're going to be going across. There's so much racing. I think someone put out on social media something like 69 races on Boxing Day alone. Yeah. So
I saw that, Tanya, and it immediately sparked me into a WhatsApp group to go, how can we bet on all of these to see who comes out on top? I know it's not responsible gambling, it's a sensible way to go about it. But,
we're doing 10 pence a race, in fairness, just as a test. Yeah.
It's a challenge. That would be a challenge. I mean, you won't even get to see them, of course, unless you've got on the go or you deal with all the split screens. But there's so much action. I mean, it's a great day to go racing, which is why there's that much racing on, of course, so everyone can get out to a local track or make a trip. We're obviously going to be focusing on, of course, the action at Leopardstown, Kempton, a bit of Chepstow thrown in there, even a bit of Limerick thrown in there, because there is one engine going over for, of course, the 40 Novice Chase there, so we'll cover that one as well. So much to get through. We're going to just crack straight into it. It's great to have Tanya and Diarmuid here with me for this Christmas special of the Racehour. There is a little bit of action before we actually get to Christmas Day, so a kind of pre-Christmas treat. That is the long walk hurdle at Ascot, the Grade 1, which goes to post on the 23rd of December. I'm fascinated by this race because I think the division's crying out for something to step forward. It could be an old stager, and I'm kind of keen on the chances of a horse called Cramber. If you saw that run the last day, Tanya, you might be thinking this is the thing. It's going to need a slightly different tactical run, maybe. It's got a different jockey. Johnny Burke's going to jump on.
Yeah, I see that. I think that's a bit harsh to Sean, Mr. Bowen, who rode him at Haydock. But of course, we'll have Johnny Burke. You got to remember Slate Lane on that day. There's lots and lots of money for Slate Lane. There was also lots of money for the second in the race as well, and I think they ran at such a fast pace. This is why we're looking and fingers crossed that Crambo does get declared. Why we're looking at Crambo, because the pace will be a little bit different to the frenetic tempo that they did at Haydock, and I think everyone was a little bit harsh about how Crambo ran in that race. He was positioned. I think he was positioned right, and he gave us a heads up for this. This is a really, as you say, it's a fantastic race. We've got all the ingredients we want. We've got the old timers. We shouldn't really call them that. Those aged 11 that have served us so well in this category, and we have the upcoming younger superstars that could take their mantle, but they're going to have to take their mantle when the boys like Paisley Park and Champ, Dashel Drasher, they're all running at the top of their game, as we saw with Dashel Drasher and Paisley Park at Newbury. They said, look, here we are. We're not going anywhere. We may be 11 years old, but we've seen a few 11-year-olds now do exceptionally well over the last few Saturdays. So you really are going to have to match our ratings and better them, even though you're at a stage where you're probably not ready for that. And that's why we're looking forward to it. And there's a couple that may be overlooked in the race, Botox Haas, that may come into the race and say, well, hold on a minute. Didn't I run well enough at Wetherby? And it makes it a proper race, because normally we're looking at races like this, these Grade 1s, and you get a long odds on shot and you're wittering and saying, oh, maybe you get beat. But this is beautiful. It's superbly set up for, come on, Crambo, here you go. Everything's set up for you. Are you going to take the mantle now, or we're all going to have our heartstrings pulled?
Are you a Crambo fan then for this race, Tanya? Is that where you'd lean?
Yeah, I mean, what I saw at Haydock, I see obviously potential pockets talking in the way that there was criticism, but there was lots of happy pockets being going up at the counter or being replenished their stocks, having been on Slate Lane in the contest. There was lots and lots of happy. I am in expect, because Dashel Drashel will go out and go along at a lovely pace. We expect that. We don't know, obviously, how Champ will be played. We know Paisley Park will hit a couple of flat spots, and he may or may not come at them. We've got the interesting ingredient of the mare, West Balboa, and potentially she finds herself at the top of the market because of the allowance. But I don't find she comes into the race running as well as Botox Hass or maybe Crambo. So yes, in this respect, I'm sorry to be really mean for the sentimentalists, but there's no room for sentimentalists. There's been 10-year-olds win this race, but never 11-year-olds. So that's even being more mean. So Champ and Paisley Parker got it all to do. So for me, yes, I am a Crambo fan, a real Crambo fan.
Yeah, I'm with you. I teased it up that way, in that I think Crambo could be the one to come through now and light up this division. We do need something this side of the water that can tackle what's likely to come from Ireland. That picture's a little bit moody as well in terms of Cheltenham. Demo, Crambo, is it going to be Redemption Day? Johnny Burke taking over from Conor Brace? Maybe that's harsh, but the horse seems to have the ability to step forward.
Yeah, but look, we're talking handicap to Grade 1, though. We've seen this umpteen times before. An owner mentions that he fancies him for a Grade 1, but usually they win the handicap before they're this short in a Grade 1. I'm very happy to take him on with Champ. I think you just catch Champ right once a year. This tends to be it. He's 11-2. He's not a reliable horse by any means as it goes on, but as a first-time run of the season, he's usually very reliable, and he won this last season. Very happy at 11-2, Dean, to be taking on the likes of West Balboa and Crambo with a horse of Champ's ability, and the fact that we know his level is at a Grade 1 when he's on his day. We don't know that with Crambo yet. We don't know that with West Balboa. So yeah, the odds, I'm very happy to take them on.
That's why the race is fascinating, isn't it? They've all got to step forward. These guns come likes of West Balboa, Crambo, of course. Botox has. It's only 7, feels like it's been around forever, of course. They make up the top of the market. Dashel Drasher in there. You think you know what you're going to get with that. I mean, they're not the only runners in the race, of course. I didn't see Goshen has entered up and jocked up. A podcast favourite for many, of course. Go Road, Red Risk, Blue King, Duro. I'd be a big Crambo fan. Tanya's with me. Dermo's going to take it on with the old stage. He's going to turn 12 in a week and a bit or so, and that's Champ. Okay, that's the Long Walk Hurdle at Ascot, a bit of a pre-Christmas treat. There is some other decent racing on that Ascot card. Anything else, Dermo, from that pre-Christmas stuff that you wanted to get a mention on here? You're on mute there, Dermo.
Apologies.
That's all right.
A bit early for that. Just one, Dean, in the Tommy Whittle, I do really like the chances there of a horse called Credo. Second last time, over course and distance behind the favourite, who he actually takes on again. But 3-pound swing was staying on very well last time. It's not that Sam Twiston Davis gave him a bad ride by any means. Sam Twiston Davis is one of the best there is, but maybe upon revision there was a bit too much ground to make up, and Famous Bridget kind of kicked on. 3-pound swing, 6-1 second favourite. Anthony Honeyball in absolutely brilliant form.
He's flying.
He'd scream to me now as being a horse that you could definitely take forward.
One for the Tommy Whittle. Then Tanya, anything else pre-Christmas before we do get stuck into what comes after the 25th?
I'm intrigued by Man, who may return to Ascot. It's entered up in the 3 o'clock at Ascot. It hasn't taken it out yet, Gavin. We've had obviously the entries. We're waiting obviously for the decks. If Man does go, just want to remind everyone, Man was the horse that was price-wise on the day at Ascot when he last ran. Mm-hmm. It was a race where Vittorino won it for Venetia Williams, perhaps signalling that she really was starting to fire in form. Man was detached until coming around the final bend, and it sort of maybe screwed up tickets or like people not considering, and suddenly he flew into contention, and coming into the last, unfortunately, he fell at the last, but he was coming, and there would have been a good old speculation, good old little bit of an argument of whether he'd actually come on and won. But he gets to go again, hopefully to go against Vittorino. I don't think the race is as strong, other than Vittorino, is as strong as it would have been the last that he met. So Man won. For this is a Gavin Cromwell runner. He's got so much to go for, so I'll just flag up, Man, look out. He's been in the tracker, and he potentially. And then I think that Lucinda Russell's got the 205 at Haydock at her mercy, absolute mercy. Now, she's got entered up either Caithness, who I was so impressed by when Caithness led all the way at Kelso, and then Caithness may have been overlooked by the same sort of tactics when went to Cheltenham. And Caithness had only been taking on like contests at Kelso, a little stepping stone to build up the strength. The tactics is to lead, so he'll always leave himself open to be picked up. I mean, he races keenly. He tried to hold off Imposé Trois and Donica. That didn't happen. He came third, but the 10th in the race, Kitsilano, and the 11th in the race, Tin Tin Tin, have all come out and won impressively, and others all around have run well. And to say she's got it at her mercy, she can pick Caithness or Gilbert in the race, Bois. Gilbert's in the race. He's incredibly talented. He finished nearby Blue King de Roe on the 23rd of October. That's his best run was in defeat in when he was finishing third to that horse. So she trains both of them. So it's her pick. She might have run them both and have the first two. So Lucinda Russell in that 205 at Haydock, incredibly competitive handicap, but she's obviously found an opportunity. She could have gone elsewhere. She's obviously seen all the form working around the pair working out so well. So they're the horses I'm looking out for. Lucinda Russell in the 205 at Haydock, and then in the 3 o'clock Ascot, Yeah Man.
Very good, very good. That while Gilbert and Caithness, like you say, Lucinda Russell just can pick or choose or go for the forecast. Definitely something to look at pre-Christmas in that 205 at Haydock on the 23rd. You mentioned the 3 o'clock, and Yeah Man, I'm a big sucker for romantic horses. I've always been in love with Angel's Breath. And if that gets dropped up for Sam Thomas, I'm going to give it another spin after a disappointing run when actually pretty well punted behind Stage Star, of course, at Cheltenham at an event meet. So I'll be keeping an eye on Angel's Breath then. Of course, Dermot's given us one already for the Tommy Whittle. Right, Christmas Day comes and goes. Santa's been, everyone's happy. We get stuck into the 26th of December. And could you say is a King George for the ages if they all turn up? So it looks a very, very strong field. There's some fantastic performances in the King George. Some fantastic horses who have dominated that race. I'd be delighted if you told me 7 weeks ago that we get Allaho, Brave Man's Game, Jerry Colon, Shifsky, Royal Guide, a real whacker, Hewitt is at death with a shark, and Froden, of course, who you always want to see jumping around at the front in these big Christmas races. A fascinating contest. I doubt maybe we will get all of those Magic 8 that I've mentioned there, Tanya, but it's going to be some race for the likes of Allaho and Brave Man's Game who look all but set to definitely each other.
It is, and we have to sort of kind of piece together the tectonic plates of the season so far, and the fact that Brave Man's Game, had he have not gone to Haydock, I sense he'd have been a lot shorter to defend his crown. He'd have been immensely shorter. Yes, he did go to Haydock, and he sort of things didn't work out as it should do, but he was still he was only beaten by a Haydock specialist in Royal Pagao who will come to Kempton, and roles reverse maybe, because I don't sense that Royal Pagao will like Kempton in the way that Brave Man's Game does. Now, while all this was going on over in Ireland, they were rubbing their hands together after Haydock, and you heard the vibes of Gordon Elliott thinking, well, hold on a minute, maybe I've got an opportunity here with Jerry Colon. And then recently, though, Willie Mullins has come, well, I'll match you and raise you with an Alloa.
Love it.
It was lovely, wasn't it? I'll match you and raise you with an Alloa. And then all we've got then the Joker being played. Here comes the Joker with Shark Hanlon and Hewitt, just to say, we'll throw this in for a bit of amusement to really mix it up to what you want, a superb race. So we've got Froden on the race, which you hope will make the pace, will make the tempo honest. I suspect we'll have our normal good to soft ground, weather permitting, good to soft ground, so we can speed along. But then to really add everyone to sit back and try and work something out, we'll throw in Shishkin. Who could, well, just for fun, planted himself at Ascot, and he looked very mulish and didn't fancy it at all. I sensed that they'd have had lots and lots of practices because there wasn't that keenness to try him anywhere else. Nicky kept saying, well, Ascot, Kempton will be the same at Ascot. Nonsense. I sense Shishkin will be fine. He was just mulish. He'll lose the cheek pieces. And also what didn't help, there wasn't many runners.
He wasn't in a herd, was he?
It wasn't in a herd.
Still. Off you go. He didn't make much effort.
No, he wasn't
Yeah.
in a herd. He was fussing about. He's going to have like a gaggle round him. I think he'll be fine. So what that leaves you with, Paul Nicholls wins the King George for fun, yet this is now a declaration by Willie Mullins and Gordon Elliott. I don't know whether Jerry will come over because of Alloa.
Yeah.
I sense that we'll just get Alloa and Hewick. This is fine. In that case, I can understand where Alloa's price has just collapsed, because that's more of a case of we're not going to get Jerry rather than Alloa's chances is heightened, because Willie's won the race a couple of times and he's just oozing the fact how excited he's been finally going to run it in a King George. Well done. It's just disappointing that Brave Man's Game had that Haydock race. I much preferred him not to have gone to Haydock, but he did, so we've got to swallow that. I think just for a bit of mischief, if Hewick runs, I think Hewick could get a play. This is a race where we see Tornado Flyer win it. It has surprised in recent years, so Hewick could run well, and he will be there, I suspect. I think, and once again, I'm going to be mean. I know Paul Nicholls has won it 13 times, but I think this is going to be could well be an Irish one too, with Alloa beating Hewick. That's providing Jerry Colombe doesn't come here. And I expect he isn't, but I'll go with Willie here because he's been really oozing confidence. But I think our challengers have been disappointing, shall we say?
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, this is what we wanted to see, right? Dermo, I'm coming to you now, right? Allaho's finally going to pitch up in this race. Brave Man's Game's had that blip. I'm going to call it 2 blips if you want to be really, and discount what happened at first run back. Jerry probably not coming. Shishkin, definitely going to kick off this time. Going to run its race, and then a few flies in the ointment. And on his pace, what do you reckon, then? You're on mute.
Twice now. This has a massive propensity to blow up this race. Brave Man's Game is very hard to back him. He's had a terrible prep for this. You're moving on then to Allaho, who was fine last time, but he was offered the guts of 2 years or whatever it was going into that race. He ran well, and Willies have needed their first run, let alone the time he was off. But there has to be a small period of bounce factor with him, really. So again, you can question him going forward. Shishkin has completely lost his mind at the moment. So until you see him start,
have you lost patience with Shishkin now? You never were the biggest fan.
Yeah, no, well, like I understand somebody backing him on the exchange when they've seen him jump. Like that's probably the move. Yeah. It's kind of not, as in once horses start doing this sort of stuff, they just keep doing it. Now I know Nicky Anderson's quite good at getting them back from the brink like this, but I don't know, he's definitely soured. So you're happy to take on the front three, and then you've kind of prices afterwards. I'm happy to take a swing on the Real Whacker. Last time he tried to go over 2 miles forward, taking on Stage Star, who in my mind could well win a Ryanair. I'd love to see him come over for the Savills. He probably won't, but I'd love to see him. Like, he'd be my Gold Cup horse if he was to go for somebody like this. So the Real Whacker tried to go with him, couldn't last at the speed with him, and kind of cut his own throat for that horribly coarse horse racing term we use a lot. But the Real Whacker, like, without that run, he's a horse who just kept winning last season and went on and beat Jerry Colombe over obviously the new course. Jerry Colombe has his excuses for that, but still, the Real Whacker, that was a huge run. If he can sit behind Allaho and try and pick this up, turning in, if Allaho's is what I think he is, and there's a little bit of blood in the water with him, the Real Whacker is a huge price, absolutely huge price here. Neville will get him back. I'm more than willing to forgive that one bad run. The rest of these have more than one question mark over them. He only has the one at the moment. So for a horse with plenty of upsides, 10-1 does look quite big.
If Jerry were to turn up, you'd completely change that. Would you?
No.
Oh, Tanya would as well.
No.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. No, not
Is it
not
too
for
quick?
King George. Yeah, he's too slow for King George.
Yeah.
I thought that the win over 2 mile 4 last season at Sandown meant that he wasn't as slow as we thought he was. It just turns out Balco Coast was just,
he wasn't the average. It's too much.
So it just means that he's average really. So like Jerry Colombe has every chance in the Gold Cup, particularly a soft ground Gold Cup. But I don't know, King George, I think those owners are clever. Gordon Elliott's clever. I think they will have realised that if Don Cossack was somewhat taken off his feet, Jerry Colombe is no Don Cossack, so I'd be very worried about him. him going around.
Fair.
Kempton.
Tanya, you said you would change your mind. You'd be Jerry fan if he did pitch it up. I mean, I don't want to spend too long on it because it looks like
I just think the way that I can appreciate that this is too quick, but the way that they'll develop, it's a kind of tornado flyer scenario that they just might go off too fast, and that's when you bring those through the race might implode in front of him, and there he is already. But in fairness, Kempton probably isn't his track. It was just Gordon being really sensible and seeing at that time
who was left in race. Didn't they?
Spotted a chance. Who wouldn't enter it at that point?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, got everyone excited for a few minutes, and now just trying to bring us back down to the level. I can't wait for the race. I think I said before on this podcast, Emma, to you that if Braveman's getting Shifskin around the King George, you're gonna have to split yourself in half. And Braveman's game's probably made it nice to split yourself in 3/4, and then Shifskin made it go back the other way. So now an absolute 2 dodge pots. And
picking which one of your arms are going broken at this point as well.
Probably break both. Yeah, I know. No, I love Shifskin. I think he's extraterrestrial. If he wants to give it a go, this is where I would have loved to have seen him run. So fingers crossed he gets up and running. I'll probably back him before he jumps and after he jumps, just to double up my confidence once he gets over first. But that's what I'd love to see. I'd love to see Shifskin come back and Nico doing a handstand or something as they go past the post. That's what you want to see. King George, that's what can deliver. It's going to deliver a great story this year. All right, let's move on, because on the same day, of course, we had the Racing Post Novice Chase. We're at a different end, of course, its careers here, and it's somewhat. The fascinating horse, of course, in here, and Demo, we talked about it before, is probably In the Pocket. We know what Facile Vega is. We saw a very nice, a nice introduction to fences. In the Pocket got something of a more educational introduction in the same race, and now you'd imagine. Let's go head to head.
Yeah, the fact that they've supplemented them now is extremely interesting, because there might be a lack of 2-mile hurdling options. There most certainly isn't around that trip for novice chases. So they kind of, they could have went elsewhere. They obviously feel like they can make up that ground on Facile Vega. And look, JP McManus's horses first time over fences this season have been getting softer rides. Not that they're not trying, but if the race isn't there to win, the jockeys are clearly not killing themselves to get there. You saw that with Corbett's Cross. The improvement he had after his first run to his second was huge. And again, it's not that we're not accusing anybody of not trying, but there is just that, the whole thing of kind of steady does it. Irish trainers are particularly guilty of this now, that, the first run of the season is very much that. And afterwards, then it's all gearing up towards the spring festivals. But we learned nothing about Facile Vega that day. Jumping fences. He didn't have to clamber for one. He didn't have to find his feet for one. It was a very steadily run race. In the Pocket was there as well for experience. They both kind of shadow boxed. Nobody really extended themselves. Facile Vega last season, for me, when he bumped into Marie Nationale, was kind of found out to be one paced enough. Now, Marie Nationale is just an exceptional horse, but still, I think Facile Vega is going to be a much better horse when he's up around the 2-mile 4 mark. He's still a very good horse, don't get me wrong, but In the Pocket's kind of similar. But to me, at Aintree showed a decent bit of boot last season, and for him, I just think the fact that they're supplementing him for a race like this when there would be easier options says an awful lot, and the price disparity is huge. So In the Pocket for me, Dean, I would be quite happy now to take.
I think with the way the market's currently shaping up, like 8-13 and 9-2. It makes a pretty obvious decision which one you're going to go for. If you take that view of the race they ran last time, they're not the only horses that could line up in the race. It does look like it's going to be a bit of a match. Willie also has entered, obviously, Mr. Policeman in there. Tomp is in there. Gate Warrior, we know it's probably ahead of to Limerick. And there's some good runs for this. You'd expect it, Tanya, for this race. Do you think it's a match up between those top two and a rematch?
Yeah, I think certainly to some extent. Willie has won it 9 times, the race, but it doesn't necessitate that a 10th is on its way, but he's just obviously got that top of the market. I totally agree. You didn't learn anything when we see some of these chases, these novice chases so far. Facile Vega was not challenged. That's what you learn at the most important point. Yes, you watch the fluency of the jumping, but that's without being challenged. And this time round, I sense there is going to be a challenge. He could run El Ete Tomp. He could run that against Facile Vega. I doubt it. That finished 5th behind it in the Supreme. In the Pocket, though, I felt watching In the Pocket, it was a brilliant ride in some respects, because you saw every kind of jump, a fiddle jump, a fluency jump. there was, I mean, obviously not it really pushed to go after Festive Vega, but I just felt it was kind of a great run for me, and I kept watching it again to see how it was. It kind of similar to, sounds silly, Edwardstone and John Bon, in the fact that you felt that Edwardstone could have been a lot nearer at Cheltenham on that run in the Schlur, whereas in the pocket, in a way, you didn't want it to be near. You thought, oh, I can't wait for next time.
There's an argument both sides of that, Tanya. Like, if Festive Vega could have gone quicker,
yes,
we have to think that. And in the pocket, certainly could have gone quicker, and certainly got eyeballing. And I'm looking forward to that happening.
Yes, now I sense it will happen. And yeah, it certainly will happen, and probably he won't hang around. He'll be given the instructions to do it right from the off.
Yeah.
Just don't.
And betting market dictates it, doesn't it? One's 9 to 2, one's 8 to 13. If you're going to get involved,
yes, 9 to 2 seems 9 to 2 seems rather large, and you can understand why they're priced up on just viewing that, but you can't understand on the back form, because when Festive Vega, as Dermot said, when under pressure was a problem, but in the pocket went on from that run at Cheltenham and went on to an Aintree and some. And when you see who in the pocket beat at Liverpool, a strong leader who this season has remained over hurdles, so has Lucia, but even so progressed further from that run to Aintree. So the progression is there. And then with that in mind, you'd expect that obviously not only the progression for Christmas, but beyond for in the pocket, just naturally, because that's how the season unravelled last season.
100%. That's how they structured it up for this. I mean, it's great they're going to clash this early. Again, I should say, although about the beginner's spin.
Yes.
So for the Racing Post Novice Chase, that Grade 1, 220 at Leopardstown on the 26th. Fascinating matchup between Festive Vega and in the pocket. I think you're mad if you take the odds on. I don't think you're that mad if you take the 9 to 2. And we'll be seeing how that all plays out on the day. Next race I'm going to come to, I'm skipping over the 26th. We'll spend a little bit of time in the podcast covering any other horses we want to pull out of these races, but I'm obviously going for the big contests over the Christmas period. Tanya, you're writing a little bit for Gambling.com now. You covered the Welsh Grand National anti-post piece. And currently, the three that you highlighted, Nassalam was your main pick, but also a couple of outsiders in there still standing their ground. We're a little bit early, but Make Me a Believer and Berwick and Halo with bigger prices. Has your view changed?
No, not at all. Nassalam really, when I was watching it at the time at Chepstow, and I appreciate it's over a tiny bit shorter, but the way that it was the jumping, and that's what you have to do at Chepstow. You've got to get out in front. They don't come from miles behind normally, unless you're Carberry or Monbeg Doon to scare. They don't come from behind at Chepstow. You have to get in a rhythm. Not necessarily, I'm not saying you don't come long way behind, but you've got to be in the first 5 or 6 after the first circuit still. And Nassalam just rode a tactical race at Chepstow in the Welsh National Trial, shall we say. And okay, Gary Moore had a day to dream of, didn't he, on that weekend? He had a day to dream of. Le Patron won and everything went right. But even so, you weren't watching Nassalam. If you weren't across every race, you didn't see Nassalam. And it was just so impressive with every fence. It just went further and further clear, and it wasn't as if he ran a race there, left a mark there. It was just Nassalam was a there's your Welsh national winner. Even though I was being asked by bits and pieces, what is X for, like Truckers Lodge for the Welsh national? As soon as Truckers Lodge won at the Veterans Chase, I was being asked, and Truckers Lodge goes there every year. But unfortunately, Truckers Lodge, even if he does go there, I just find that where he stands and his rating, that there are the Nassalams of this world that will come through. Yes, I do appreciate I might have a danger in the favourite, Monbeg Genius. He ran a brilliant trial at Newbury for this contest, but that's the obvious, and I sense that Monbeg Genius that will be his tactics. He'll always come through late and hunt round, and I appreciate beforehand he was against the likes of Fast or Slow and Corach Rambler. That's why he went into the Newbury race so fancied and so short, but Nassalam seems so fresh and ready for Chepstow. I put up Make Me Believer as well, but we could see Make Me Believer this weekend. Would be interesting to see that. I think that David Pipe has thought, right, we'll make me Billy, we'll enter him somewhere to see what kind of horses appear against him. I think he might be better off if he goes to the Welsh National on the weight. In theory, he's got to carry. That might be a help. And I flagged up Broken Halo. Hoping a Broken Halo at a balmy, bonkers, silly price, because in that Truckers Lodge race, I just felt that when the race he ran at, he was running through really, really well when all went wrong, and it's not far enough for Broken Halo, and he was forgotten. As soon as the race was over, he was totally forgotten. The replays, I didn't say, oh, how unlucky was Broken Halo in that race. It would be a kind of an intriguing scenario if he was put in the race with Freddie Gingo on board. Something like that. That would offset any issues if he was out the weights or anything. It would be happy days. And that happens. We've seen massive prices get in the frame in that race.
100%.
You mustn't discount anything because the weather could make the conditions ridiculous. He won't be bothered by that. The David Pipe Make Me a Believer will not be bothered, and we've already seen Nassalam won't be bothered. This is another one, believe it or not, on heavy ground that is run at a frenetic pace. You have to be there in the first 5 or 6. All those 3 race like that, and that's where it would be a problem for the favourite, because Monbeg Genius doesn't as such race like that, and he could be held up by crowding, horses falling in front of him, or just the pace of the race might get away from him.
Yep, fair, all fair. I mean, there's 2 shots there, 66 to 1 Broken Halo, 50 to 1 Maybe a Believer. Nassalam still available at double figures. Monbeg Genius, the race tactics might not suit for this type of race. Dem, what did you come down with on the Welsh National?
So I actually watched that same race. Nassalam as well would be my idea of a win bet. But Dean, each way long term, Pat's Fancy is still, I'm still happy enough.
I've written it down, Dan, we've got to go. We know that Pat's Fancy is going to be in this discussion.
And look, that day in that Nassalam race, he actually jumped for fun. He travelled really well, turned in, first run for over a year, and Wedge just completely looked after him, laid on, realised that, this wasn't the big day at all. Rebecca Curtis was just showing he needed to get a run into him. She got it. He drifted like a barge all morning. The run was what they wanted it to be. He jumped really well. Still, he jumps the fence so beautifully. That day against Brave Man's Game, I always talk about the Brave Man's Game jumps sublimely, and he was popping behind him without any issue to him. He's a serious jumper. He's 40 to 1, huge price. And considering he's won twice here at Chepstow, and staying on his breeding should not be an issue. He's a brother of T for Tree, so it's there's an awful lot there in him. So Pat's Fancy at 40 to 1 or so would be still my idea of a decent bet.
Yeah, a few years running. And do you know what? I was hoping you were going to be strong on it, because it's clearly the target. Rebecca Curtis only got the run. This is what they're going for. That spin behind Nassalam was everything about today for this actual day. And why not? You might get a jumper in the end. You might. Pat's Fancy jumper is a story told in this podcast previously. I'm sure people will enjoy. But okay. I'm with you. I do like Nassalam. Absolutely do like Nassalam as well. And the one I'll probably back alongside, bounce back 2 or 3 in here because of the nature of the race. And fingers crossed it goes ahead on the date supposed to. It doesn't always happen, but they will find a spot for it. It's going to take place over Christmas at some point. It's Shambard, who just looks like a rejuvenated animal. It's a massive run at Cheltenham under Lucy Turner. She got a great tune out of it, of course.
She's brilliant.
And although it's 11, got a little penalty to carry, so all of its life, you can argue. And I think it'll run a big race. And Venetia is going okay. So that'd be my take on the Welsh National. I'd love Pat's Fancy to win for Diarmuid Nolan and all of his believers out there. And of course, Nassalam, if you want to read the preview, it's on Gambling.com from Tanya. She goes through plenty of the runners on there. Okay, let's kick on then. Same day, different side of the pond, though, of course, is the Future Champions Novices Hurdle. That's at Leopardstown on the Wednesday. Fascinating contest this, Dan. I mean, you're the man in Ireland, of course. I'm sitting here, but I'm not of the heritage. Daddy Longlegs down memory lane. We could have Baron Glory, the Bond winner, go again. We've got Firefox, who won on that same card and is arguably more impressive than the Bond winner. This is going to be a cracker. And it backs up the theory that less racing equals better grade ones, because the 2 mile hurling division, there isn't that many options. There's the Moscow Flyer, there's the DRF, but kind of away from that, there isn't that many options. Like the next one was the Lawyers of Naas, I believe, in January. So
That's over 2 miles 4. So the beauty of that means that Willie and Gordon kind of have to throw a few in here, really, both of them. And Daddy Longlegs against Down Memory Lane, that's a serious race. And Daddy Longlegs, he was just brilliant last time. The form has taken a very good step forward. And he's my idea of the Supreme Novices winner. Generally, we see it come from here. You know, he could well went to the DRF onto Cheltenham. That's just always what Willie does. And he's just, he's very, very good. I don't think Fire and Glory will run anyway, but I don't think he's at the top of the level. I think that Royal Bond was okay. Again, we'll find out more afterwards, but I don't like, even the way Gordon said afterwards that, you know, his other winner, Firefox, was a much better horse than
he did
Fire
say
and Glory.
I know the owner of Fire and Glory, and I haven't been in contact with them, but they do like going for this. I wouldn't be surprised if it pitches up in the toughest contest they can find. The trainer,
he's also in the Grade 1 over Angel.
Yeah, the trainer will have a stake. They'll go,
you know, so there is kind of options there for him. But it's like, considering all of them, and considering what Daddy Longlegs did first time, especially when you look at what Willie Mullins' horses have generally been doing first time this season, they might have been winning a bit, but they've been stepping forward. He was ultimately very impressive first time out. And if he steps forward at all from that, Dean, we're looking at a real novice hurdling superstar. A division that is wide open still, obviously, as we expected this time of the year, because the Champion Bumper form has taken such a thumping so far. Daddy Longlegs for me, Dean. I've marked him out very early. And I love him. And
and he could back it up again over Christmas and a real steam into Cheltenham with a good one. Tanya, what did you make of these fascinating novices? Good ones.
I love Fire and Glory, but I don't love Fire and Glory at Aintree or indeed at Leopardstown. I think he needs a Cheltenham. He doesn't need a speed track. What I love about Fire and Glory though is when you watch the replay of his run, you can put him, he accelerates in a short space of time, but in between he's very deliberate and very thoughtful horse. He's not a Daddy Longlegs. Daddy Longlegs, you'd put him say at Liverpool, you'd imagine him breaking the track record at Aintree. He just travels so much at speed, consistently travels at speed, whereas Fire and Glory, you would feel that he's dependable and safe and real top class. I do love him, and if he turns up, I suspect you would have to find a miracle to get him out the first three. Fire and Glory, he's that kind of dependable, but you wouldn't say like he was slicker really fast. But you would definitely say he's a Grade 1 horse. Sounds stupid. He's like a diesel car as it is to a kind of up against an electric car, whereas the Daddy Longlegs has got the immediate fast pickup, whereas Fire and Glory has to be worked up and then he'll just go at the same speed the whole way around. Daddy Longlegs, goodness me, that Turles run. That was just slick and at speed. Looking at the others, some of the others in the race, Down Memory Lane, I thought that was very impressive, but didn't have the same wow factor. I like the Tony Bloom horse in Il Antique, I think it's called, the Gowran run, but he's so green. That is beyond green, and that's going to take 3 or 4 runs before you see the true extent of how good that horse is. It's for me another nice horse, but you just don't know where they're all going. I'll put a tick in the Daddy Longlegs box and hope Fire and Glory, as I say, I've just said it's not a Liverpool horse, but it would be nice to see what he can do behind the likes of Django Bay and Tell No Name, because those two will be there. And if they make an error, he's going to be there he'll love that never-ending straight at Liverpool, the last 3 hurdles. He'll just love that. But it's just not quick enough around the
interesting to see where they pitch it
just because of slickness. Let's go with Daddy Longlegs.
Fair enough. I should mention I wish you all the best with Fire and Glory wherever you decide to pitch, and imagine you're going to take on all the big guns wherever they come. He's not afraid of anything. Easy fix, man, of course. All right, we move on to the Thursday. We've got a few races that's been through 2 at Leopardstown and 1 at Limerick. The Bromhead Christmas Hurdle is the first one he's going to go to. The Great White Dope's in here, don't know, steering for lunch if he wants to run. That's what we call him. But it does look a decent race. It looks like Irish Point, though, is being set up to continue the bandwagon to whatever they decide to do later on in the spring.
Yeah, and he's a very, very good horse, but he didn't look particularly slow to me last time. He's never looked particularly slow to me. Again, not amazingly quick either, but I don't know about him over this trip yet. Again, we just don't know. I think Home by the Lee, whatever price he'll be, if he's 7-4, 2-1, 9-4 on the day, I think that's a whopping price. He's just amazingly solid. He's the typical 7 out of 10 horse. He'll always run to that level, and something needs to go above that to beat him. And that's what Home by the Lee is. He was brilliant here last season. Cheltenham just mightn't be his track. He'll improve a lot, though. Joseph O'Brien's yard, after having a dip earlier on the season, they are absolutely flying of late. So his form should definitely kick on from that last run. This probably would have been a plan of his. I can't believe Sir Gerhard's only 3-1. The horse is completely lost for quite a while now. Absolute Notions 7-1. Monkfish, it's a decent race, but Home by the Lee, the rest of them, one of those horses could turn out to be 9 out of 10 on the day, but you're really banking on it. I'm not sure Irishfield's a stayer, so Home by the Lee for me is the really steady one, and I think he's a very good better.
Yeah, it's not the most kind of buzzy race at the Christmas, but that is a steady pick. JJ, of course, will be on the plate for Joseph O'Brien. Home by the Lee came through last year to look like it was a big protagonist in all of these races, and then it's just dwindled away at the end of the season. Did you have something for it, Tanya?
Yeah, I just felt that Home by the Lee on debut, I wasn't. It just was ridden so fast early doors. That's Home by the Lee, and then it's no surprise to see going into the last that he faded like he did. He just ran really fast. But if you look at the makeup of the race, to me it looks as though there's a couple of hurdlers and loads of chasers dropping back because they see the division that there's the opportunity to drop back over hurdle, because you see all out the entry for the long haul. So it's kind of that scenario. But so by that. If you think that Home by the Lee, doing those same tactics, but now with a race under its belt, is going to escape clear of the likes of Monkfish and Sir Gerard and all the chasers, as it were, that are thinking, well, hold on a minute, there's an opportunity for us here. But opportunity for what? Yes, there is Irish Point at the race. It's a big step up or an ask for him. He's coming into the race. He won, or he ran in the Mersey Novices hurdle, beating Katir and Hermes Allen. Okay, there's other horses in the race that have come out and won since, but is that really? We're going to find out anyway. I just think Home by the Lee's going to go off too fast, and he can keep it up. He just didn't keep it up in his first run back, which you wouldn't expect it to. But it was nice enough. He was beaten by Zanahiyr and Bob Bollinger. That's really good strong
race.
form. But good race, good race. What we will see, get your notebooks ready, because some of those chasers will go back over the bigger obstacles, and one of them's going to run exceptionally well, and you're going to think, oh, I can't wait for that next time when it goes back over the bigger obstacles. Yeah,
fair. Not all about what wins that race. Well, maybe what comes after. Fair enough. Okay. Home by the Lee consensus, I think, between Tanya and Damo, that might be the bet in the Jack to Bromhead Christmas hurdle. Also on the same card. Oh, sorry, no, actually, let's skip across the Limerick. I forgot where I was going. Gaelic Warrior is going to go short for the Forheen Novice Steeplechase. I don't know whether we need to talk about whether there's something to take it on with or not. That's up to, obviously, the panelists here. But Tanya, Gaelic Warrior, he does look a bit of a special animal. Got a mind of his own, perhaps. Got a way of going of his own, perhaps.
He's certainly got an engine. We remember him from finishing second in the Ballymore, but then it's nice that he went on to win something afterwards. That's always key. It's always key. I probably, or even though I watched it, it wasn't for me watching it and how impressive he won. It was for all the messages I got as it's in running and after it to instigate how impressive he was. And it wasn't just messages of quotes afterwards, it was messages in awe of his performance. So all of those messages can't be wrong.
Yeah.
But then once again, was it because he's so special off of fences, or was it because he was uncontested, or is there nothing out there that can contest him? And that's the issue. We don't know who's going to line up against him at Limerick, and maybe this is a means. This is a means by Willie, by putting him at Limerick, is keeping him away from anything that hot at Leopardstown, or this is his race. Maybe Corbett's Cross will go. I doubt it. Not kind of Corbett's Cross race. Blood Destiny, stable companion. I'd love to see Blood Destiny there, but you don't think that he's going to be there and be able to keep up with Gaelic Warrior. I think this is a race that last year won by Jerry Colomb. Two different type of horses. Gaelic Warrior's flies. Jerry Colomb is just good and comes through late. Willie's won it 7 times. I think it's just a tick in the box for Gaelic Warrior, and we'll have to wait for him to meet something that is his match, unless, of course, he makes a horrendous error somewhere. It'd be interesting. It'd also be interesting to see who rides him, because he's at Limerick, and maybe Paul obviously will be at Leopardstown.
Yeah, I'd say definitely be there. So maybe Danny gets a leg
Danny.
up there. Yeah, maybe.
Danny, yeah.
What do you reckon? He's going to win. Might not face much.
I know, like, again, going right-handed, heavy ground, yeah, he'll absolutely dot round. He's a horse that I've never fully believed in for some reason, but he definitely is extremely talented, and I'm kind of hoping he devours him and he goes into a very short price for Cheltenham Dean, because I definitely will be taking him on. I definitely will be taking him on there. Yeah,
yes,
unless Cheltenham
yes.
Unless Cheltenham goes right-handed somehow, that won't be. You have to take him on. But yeah, he's a very good horse.
He is indeed. It'd be interesting to see what does turn up against him. At this point, we don't know. I'd love an American Mike to take him on or something like that, just to give him a little bit of something to think about. Something will give him something to think about. But he could be miles clear, and he could all be just racing round in behind him. Savills Chase is on the same day, of course, on the 28th. It's at Leopardstown. It's tricky here because we've got plenty of double entries that are suggested. But Willie said he wants to run Galloping de Champs. Tanya, is the right race, is it? It's maybe a bit soon.
I think that's harsh. I think Galloping de Champs ran fine last time out behind John Durkan. I think he ran fine. I think everyone was judging him on the John Durkan on his run at this time last year, where he dotted away and won very easily. He's now come through, and he's now got a lot of pressure on his shoulders for what he's achieved since that dotting round. And lots does develop throughout a season. That's obvious. That's what we're discussing here. And his friend will turn up in this, I think. Fast or Slow will definitely turn up in this. And Fast or Slow, for me, is just a phenomenon. The way that he's improved since, how on earth did Korak Rambler beat him, kind of scenario.
Yeah.
That's what Martin Brasser might be ruining on. Perhaps not. He's just come from strength to strength, because he's already beaten Galloping de Champs, punches down, and perhaps, well, we know that we just left in disbelief to some extent, but now he's proved it. He's done it twice, and he's done it in a manner that there was one horse, obviously Fast or Slow got the adulation. There was one other horse and jockey that should have got immense adulation for that race, and that was Patrick Mullins and Appreciate It, because they made that race what it was. And it was amazing how Appreciate It just kept going. It brought the race to a true run race, and once again, fair and square, Fast or Slow, I felt, beat Galloping de Champs. Is it a right race or not? Yes, it is a right race. We haven't got an Appreciate It in there. We might have. I hope we haven't. I hope Appreciate It goes off and runs in a race in his own right, and goes and dots up and wins a race in his own right. But he might be here. If he's not here, we will have conflated, I guess, to try and defend his crown, and he'll try and do a Appreciate It, because he led the other day and ran exceptionally well. It's going to be a superb contest, but I sense that it might go to Fast or Slow again. Yeah. And Fast or Slow, if he does win, is going to say, what on earth have I got to do now to prove myself?
He'd be favourite for the Gold Cup.
What on earth have I got? Yeah. What have I got to do now? Whatever, it's going to be hotly contested. It won't be won by a distance. It will be, they'll all be bundling over the last. It's going to be really exciting. The high-pitched commentary, and it'll be a switch.
It will be high-pitched,
You will get that. Because
it'd be so exciting.
I'd like to have the throat lozenges on the way out the car park just to hand to Jerry as he's coming past. And I'll charge him $10. Yeah, get me money back. Go on, Dan. I mean, we are going to get the three-peat of this Fast or Slow Galloping de Champs. It won't be the trilogy, won't it? But I don't know. I've never been able to say it with a straight face. Fast or Slow is going to be Galloping de Champs. Yeah, I would have been wrong twice.
Yeah, and we can't forget here as well, Willie will throw an awful lot at this. He always does. He always, Willie's never slow to just run them, but yeah, like Jerry Colombe, this is Leopardstown. That massive run-in is going to suit Jerry Colombe so much. I think, the fact that he got up at Down Royal, so 13-2, 13-2. Sorry, that was there before. Obviously,
I think he got off
the
their
words came
favour.
out.
He's going to go off their
looks-
favour for a Savills, maybe 3-1, something like that.
Yeah, and that's a huge price, really, you know. But like again, you'd have to know Galloping des Champs was the fact that he's always had a mind of his own was one thing, but Willie Mullins and Paul Townend put serious, huge work into maybe taking the pizzazz out of him, to kind of make him stay. So then you know, it's like moaning when Frankenstein knocks over a building. You can't now moan that Galloping des Champs didn't show that pizzazz again in the, you know, in the John Durkin. You know, they actively tried to take that out of him last season. They did it, which is one of the best training performers of all time, in my opinion, to actually get him to kind of chill like they did. Faster Snow is brilliant, but yeah, weirdly, it's part of me as well, Dean. I just don't believe it, and I would say it's so stupid not to believe it, because it's like looking at you right here. So again, Envoy Allen, he ran huge last time, but Jerry Colomb should be really hammering him now. Like, you know, that was the day when he was going to catch Jerry Colomb. But Dean, I had huge odds. I think Classic Getaway at 33-1 is a huge price to place here. Stephen Cass put up last time for the Gold Cup at wild prices. And again, as always, I always try and go off because to prove him wrong, I can never agree with Stephen Cass. But I watched the race back, and Classic Getaway was fantastic. Really, really good. He can improve. And this was a horse that they always thought the absolute world of, but he was kind of delicate, and he was kind of just a bit all over the place. Last season, he beat Manila Kakuna really well, and then missed the whole season, came back at Punchestown, and they punted him that day, but he very visibly just was a horse that hadn't been running all season, and he faded that day. But he's come back. Willie Mullins after the race was really excited and said, I always thought that he could do what he just did. He beat hot on Clower as well, Dean, who's no joke.
Yeah, French Stein made there as well. Good race.
Yeah, and he hammered them. And he's here at 33-1. He's a horse that cost an absolute fortune. They always thought really highly of him. He's had his issues, but he's only 7 and he's properly back now. They said that Christmas was going to be a target for him. He's only got one entry over Christmas. So 33-1 here. And it has to be remembered that Mellon, he nearly won this race for William Mullins. Yeah. Kembai was a big price that day when he did. It happens quite regularly where William Mullins' back numbers can just all of a sudden jump forward. Classic Getaway is one of them, but when you look at the horses around him, Capodanno, I Am Maximus, Appreciate in front of him, that's rather insulting to a horse as good as him and with a level that is quite high. This horse could be anything at all in the world. He just hasn't got his chance really to show it yet. Last time was much more like it, and 33-1 to at least run into a place is far too big here, and he's more than good enough to.
Good shout. Okay, we'll put Classic Getaway in the overpriced outsider in what is a fascinating renewal of Savills. Going to give us a lot of clues, of course, towards the Gold Cup picture. Big guns taking each other on over Christmas is what you want. We've got some fascinating examples of that, and that's one of the better races of the Christmas period among a stellar cast, I have to say. Now, a couple of races I just want to cover on the 29th before we get right to the end of this podcast, of course, on the Racehour. The Neville's Hotel Novice Chase and the Matheson Herd at Leopardstown. We'll do the Neville's Hotel Novice Chase first. I'm really hoping they run Factor File in here, Damo, or somewhere. Just run it somewhere.
Of course, yeah. You really nailed to that math, but no way off. The Factor File is fine so far. There has to be issues now with his back form. There really does. He's
no.
He's a good horse, but he needs to show an awful lot more now before he's at the top of the market. This could be an absolute unbelievable race. Monty Star. Look, again, as far as being nailed to a mask goes, I'm up there with you with another one on Monty Star. I love Monty Star. I think he's fantastic. He produced a very good run last time. He'll improve for that as well. Up and Trippier to 3.5 miles will definitely suit him as well. And Don McLean on this podcast last time made a very good point about Corbett's Cross, that him staying 3 miles is not guaranteed just yet. And that there is a chance, if you watch back the Albert Bartlett, if you get a few minutes, do watch it back. And he runs out at the last. And in my brain, because your memories, you can never trust your memories, he was just coming to win smoothly. I don't know. Mark Walsh is looking frantic all of a sudden on him. And that's not the kind of jockey he is.
So you think the gates just went...
That's kind of what I think, and he ducked out. Now, again, I could be viciously wrong here, but it did feel like that to me. It might not have been Mark Walsh now, it might be Myler, but whatever jockey it was on him, he just very quickly was all of a sudden pumping at him, and then the horse ducks out at the last. He was mesmerically good last time. He was just brilliant. But there is still that tiny question mark in the back of my head whether this horse actually stays or not. We know Monty Star definitely does. He's a big brute. If he runs at 20-1 or so, he's huge. But look, I'll wait for the decks, Dean, and I'll plough into Monty's then.
Yeah, just wait for Vex and see if Factor File is declared. I think that's what I got from what he said there, Devon. That's fine. Tanya, Factor File, how far does it win the Neville's Novice if it turns up?
I got Factor File written down, and I've also got written down Favois de
Nice
Chepstow,
horse,
who, obviously no one remembered because everyone was watching Florin Porter doing his antics. Whether they were laying blame of what way round he was going, or the loose horse, or Florin Porter just didn't have it. That's all I'd say. He was just being a very mulish. That happens. What everyone's got to remember, he did beat Broadway Boy, and we've seen how good that is. But let's rewind back to Favreau de Chepstow, because whatever Florin Porter was up to, let him get up to that. Favreau de Chepstow won very, very easily and very impressively, and looks a lovely horse. 3 miles, no problem. Factor of File, really interesting scenario. Your first race since running like in a bumper. Let's go chasing.
Florida Pearl-esque. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's perfect. But I suspect just one chase race isn't going to immediately. You're going to need a couple more, as it proved when you've got to keep watching the race again and again, and the way that Factor File understandably jumps, but not behind a nice horse in American Mike. And I just worry. I felt it wasn't just the first run of the season tired into the last fence.
Sure.
And there's going to be a massive improvement. It's going to be a beautiful horse going in runs to the future. He's just not Favois de Chepstow ready yet. I'll probably be proved wrong, and he'll Factor File prove me wrong. It's lovely to see him again. I hope we do see it again, but I'll go with Favois de Chepstow, those Gigginstown colours. It was a lovely, lovely win.
Fair enough. Sure was, and well highlighted on this pod as well with Don just recently on the Racehour. Factor File, I just wanted to put proper trip in front and let him relax on his jumper, and I think his engine will just kill them all off. You're right, though, that is a proper rival. If he beats that, be favourite for the Brown Advisory, and that's what we all want to happen, so that would be fantastic. Let's quickly cover off the Matheson hurdle, because I guess it's possible. State Man's odds on, but Imperial Pass could turn up. Dermo, will we get something to talk about here?
State Man wins. He'll run. They'll go back to the well as small with Imperial Pass, but he probably will run at the DRF and the Irish Champion Hurdle. They'll completely separate these two out, and we'll hopefully see their battle at Cheltenham, because neither of them are getting near Constitution Hill anyway. So it's all good, but just it's a bit sad, because I was watching Ruby Walsh's special on Racing TV, Dean, and it was showing the races of Hurricane Fly when he got up to beat Connor and Jeski. The hurdling division used to really be a fantastic whole kind of spectacle, and that's just not there at the moment. It really is a pity, but people aren't going out buying hurdlers like they used to. We're losing too many of the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds over to Hong Kong who might have developed maybe into these. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, it'll be another good performance, but nothing to.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, look, we wait for Cheltenham. Perhaps everybody then that's one crack at Constitution Hill, because he's going to get a strong round Christmas ahead of Kempton over Christmas. State Man win, Tanya. There's not much more to say. Is there about that?
State Man a win, and his friend Echoes in Rain will be second. She looked big. She looked enormous, bigger than she's a big girl anyway, but she was brilliant when she was behind him last time out. She'll just get that little bit closer. I think she's very, very good. Willie will run Echoes in Rain, and she'll be second to him again, and she'll improve a couple of lengths. It just will be State Man, though.
Yep. A nice spin round for State Man in the Matheson hurdle, and that brings us to the end of the list of races we were going to cover over the Christmas period. But we've already mentioned, I think there's 69 of races on Stevens' Day. There's another 170 something across the various different days, and I've just made that number up, but I'm sure it's close. Did we have anything else that we wanted to point to over Christmas? Dermot, I'll go to you first. You must have a couple of others that you wouldn't let us miss.
Oh God, yeah. First of all, Belgo Prince, Dean. I really like Belgo Prince 145 at Leopardstown on St. Stephen's Day. Basically, Tony Martin absolutely adores this race and targets a horse at it every year. Tony Martin has won this in 2014 and 2015, was second 2016, third 2017, second 2018, fourth 2019. He only had 100 to 1. He only had a 100 to 1 shot in 2020. Obviously, that finished nowhere. Second with Belgo Prince in 2021, and second last year with Brookie, who was very unlucky. He just loves it. Belgo Prince was the horse that finished second in 2021. runs off the exact same mark of 97, is now on a flat mark after a very good season, including winning at Epsom of 80. So there's it's such a short gap between his flat mark and his hurdle mark now. And crucially, last time, Dean, at Cheltenham only a few weeks ago, he was coming to win that day. Was an absolutely huge run. Luke McKenna had him, and then he thumped the last, and the young jockey just brought him home. I was actually very impressed with the young jockey. But he's a horse on very good form. He runs here off 97, and a trainer who farms this race, or at least tries to farm this race on a regular basis. Belgo Prince Dean looks a very proper horse to follow over Christmas. And just, again, just he really does. In that Club Rewards Chase, which we missed out, which is my fault, I didn't put on the plan. Captain Guinness, he's the favourite, but he's always worth taking on, as is Dino Blue, the second favourite. They're both beautiful horses, but they're not massively grade 1 level. Dino Blue, she has her jumping errors. Captain Guinness, his form at Leopardstown is just not very good. Gentleman to Me never wins first time out. You can keep going down this field here. I do think Appreciated will go to the Savills. But again, you don't know. Willie would spot an easier opportunity here, so that could happen. He'd be the one that I'd fear the most. But Sanwa 20-1 here is a huge price. He always needs his first run as well, where he was very quiet behind Captain Guinness. But he won over this course to distance last year in a grade 1 novice. 20-1 is just way too big, Dean. I know I have a soft spot for him, but just when you go through this field, it's one of the poorer grade 1s you'll ever see, and he's not a million miles off these lads at all. He'll be quietly ridden. It could blow up top because Dino Blue, again, she does have a mistake in her. So if they do go too hard in front, he could just be the one to pick it all up at huge odds. In the Paddy Power Steeplechase, the exact same day, Dean, this is obviously one of the big handicaps. This is as Irish handicaps go. It's just as tough as they come, but it's not particularly full of potential superstars this year, or horses that could really step forward. Panda Boy is going to be very popular after finishing third last season, but he couldn't get the job done off £3 lower. I'm very happy to take him on again, as I am the front of the market. There's only one horse in here I think that could be a lot better, could develop into maybe a grade 1 horse eventually, is Gars the Sow, who is a Gordon Elliott horse. I love this horse when he won over hurdles. He beat Ragnar Lodbrok, who's now in 128. He laughed at him that day. He's been really quiet over fences, which doesn't mean that he's not talented, especially when he's being owned by JP McManus. So he runs here off 12-1. This horse is potentially, in my opinion, a grade 2/grade 1 placed horse, and he's running here at 132. He's one of the only kind of exciting young horses, and at 12-1, yes, he concedes an awful lot of experience, which is huge here. But if Mark Walsh can maybe jump him around quietly and get him into this late on, he could just be way, way too good for these. And then the last two as well, then, Dean, are Eric McNamara is a trainer to follow at Limerick. He always has a winner at Limerick over Christmas. Really good trainer. He won the Paddy Power last year with Real Steel. He's brilliant at getting these horses back. Our old friend Dean, Falco Blitz ran a blinder last time. He's entered over Christmas. He's one that could definitely win a race again. Eric McNamara he's brilliant with these kind of horses that maybe go a little bit sour elsewhere. He gets them right back, and Falco Blitz is one of them. But Alpesh Almeen runs in the ladies handicap at 3:32 on the 27th. And ran an absolutely massive race in a pretense last time. I wouldn't be surprised to see him book the likes of a Maxine O'Sullivan, etc. here. And Alpesh Almin is just a decent horse on a very low mark, and that race the 2017 should be one for him. But of all the handicap horses there, Dean, I think Belgo Prince really does jump out as being one that could be potentially very, very well handicapped for a trainer who is quite good.
Thanks for flagging up. Belgo Prince, St. Wild, give him a shout, of course, in that rewards card. So in the Paddy Power Chase, one of the biggest punting races, of course, of the week, Falco Blitz, and the one I can't pronounce them, but it was the last one. That's right.
Alpesh Almeen, I believe. I've literally made that up. I don't know.
We'll find it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we'll find it. Tanya, at this point, anything else that you like over Christmas you want to flag up? And I'm going to get your nap from you as well of the whole Christmas period, please.
First of all, a horse that you should put in your tracker, and I have been, and I think you should put Come On Teddy in your tracker. Only been, it was a good novice, good chaser to a good level. Yeah. But while all the furore was around the move for Buddy 1 at Cheltenham, Come On Teddy was, I grant you, a massive price at 25-1. Have a look back at how late Come On Teddy comes through to get a 6th place. now. I've been putting in the tracker. I suspect we'll see Come On Teddy on New Year's Day at Cheltenham, if not before, somewhere in a really competitive handicap hurdle again, and it might be a different result. It definitely needed the race, but goodness me, did it move for the second win. They're desperate to get Walking Clover in a race. She's got 2 entries on Saturday. I don't know what one she'll take. She'd probably be better for a Haydock or an Ascot than she was at Cheltenham. She was hunted around brilliantly by Harry Skelton. It said pulled hard. I think that's a bit harsh. I think she just had travelled so well. But when she came to challenge, unfortunately, the Gavin Cromwell mare was running so well. And she came to challenge them, and she was disappointed, shall we say, that they didn't go fast enough. She made a horrendous error. Walking Clover, she's got 2 entries. 2:40 at Haydock, I'm hoping she'll take that entry up. I like the looks of her there. And then at Haydock, Little Miss Dante for Ollie Murphy. Remember Go Dante? Well, Little Miss Dante, I think, is related. Really impressively won at Ayr. And then everyone was probably wanted her in the lay column for Utah. So they felt that maybe carrying the penalty might be too much. It wasn't. She certainly kicked on from party vibes and said bye-bye, everyone. She goes again at Haydock, hopefully, and I think there'll be more of the same. I think that the improvement will continue. They're the really a couple ones to me. And also, just look out for Harry Fry, just as a whole. At the moment, he's in that horrible scenario. He's 0 from 16, or getting a little bit worse than that. But of those 16 runners, something like 6 were second places and 3 were third places. That tells you all you need to know. He'll have some lovely runners over the Christmas period, maybe the Boot Hill or the Mai Tai, something like that. He will, or Outer Belly even. Outer Belly's bound to come out. Harry Fry, he's someone, we were all looking at Venetia Williams waiting for that win sequence to come. Because she couldn't run along at 9% or whatever it was. The same for Harry, who's had loads of winners already this season. He's just in that lull, and we're waiting for him, and he's just hitting the crossbar. They're not running badly. They are not running badly. So Harry Fry to do well over the Christmas period.
Okay, Harry Fry, Little Miss Dante, of course, Walk on Clover with a couple of entries, possibly 2:40. Keeping on that. Come on, Teddy. Teddy's going to pitch up and run well in a big handicap, possibly New Year's Day, Cheltenham. We'll wait to see where it turns up. Your best bet at the Christmas period, Tanya. They only allow 1 horse. What is it?
Only allow 1 horse. It would be the Favois de Champeau in that Neville's and Novice's Chase. If you're shaking against fact or file, I've broken. Oh, I forgot one other one to follow. Put in the tracker Real Terms of Grunt 2. I know it's an all-weather horse. She's been entered a couple times since the break on the flat, and she hasn't run. So he's desperate to find the right race for her. She runs over a 1.25 miles, mile and a half. Hopefully, it's a 1.5 miles at Newcastle. But no, I'm going to go against you. Sorry, I'm going to go with.
No, don't worry. It happens to me all the time in this podcast.
Yeah,
I'm not correct, so it doesn't matter. You're in good, safe hands there. Fabro de Chantier, of course, taking on Back to Farm, we think, over the Christmas period at Leopardstown. That'll be Tanya's best of the Christmas period. Now, there's plenty that you've mentioned, Dermo. If you had to just have one, where is it? Is it this Belgo Prince?
Dean, 100%, Dean. It's just.
I think I put you in that box there because you never.
Cheers for that, Jeff. But the stars have aligned there in that one, so it's definitely Belgo Prince looks. But I can't envisage, Dean, that Tony Martin horse has nearly won that race before will be missed all that much in the market.
That's sure. Yeah, we just want to win it.
We'll
take the price and we'll cheer at home. That's all good. All right, Belgo Prince for Devon. I was going to do Fact File, but I'm definitely not taking on Tanya Stevenson, the horse racing legend, on this one. I'm not going to do that. Fact File is going to win the Brown Advisory. That's my nap of the season. Relax about that. You've got plenty of time until that comes. I'm going to go all the way back to the very start of the podcast when we talked about that Long Walk Hurdle. It's going to happen before Christmas, but Cranbo is going to win that race. That's my Christmas wish. If Santa comes early, that's where it'll come. And it will be Cranbo with Johnny Burke up on top. Harsh, of course, upon a brace, but that's the way racing goes. And if Cranbo can deliver, all connections will be happy out. All right, look, it's been my pleasure to have Diarmuid Nolan, Tanya Stevenson on the Racehour. This has been our Christmas special, brought to you by our friends at Gambling.com. Of course, we'll be back after hopefully Santa is kind to everybody and everyone enjoys all the festivities and all the racing coming up. Do bet responsibly. We'll talk to you in the new year. From Diarmuid, Tanya and myself, thanks very much.